for you. Tyrone will be here on Friday. And do yourselves a favor. Don't talk politics at Thanksgiving tomorrow. Enjoy the day. Enjoy your family. Have a blessed holiday. I'll be back on Monday. Peace out.
Family. You love them. But let's be honest. You need a break. While Uncle Steve explains why he hates the referee, and Aunt Linda asks why you're still single, you can be somewhere else. SportsGrid is live all Thanksgiving Day. Real-time odds, predictive data, and total silence from your in-laws. Escape the noise with SportsGrid.
A huge number out there on Cason Wallace to win Defensive Player of the Year at 500-1. That is worth your attention. And a number that I talked about before the season that I still think should be lower is Mark Daigneault to win Coach of the Year at 11-1 in the NBA. If they win 70, he's a lock for top 3. If they win 73, it's his.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
What are those things called?
A shooting star.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that one. Like, it just burns up quick. And you love it while you can see it, and bing, it's gone in the blink of an eye.
Right.
That's my fear for Cam Scatterby.
Yeah, and that's not a big deal, but I will say it's weird, and it seems like he really enjoys that attention, which is all fine because he's a young guy,
Yeah.
but possibly dangerous in a city like New York.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Close to $1 million in volume being traded right now in the Offensive Player of the Year. If you did put $100 down on Jonathan Taylor, that would pay back $143, so a 43% increase on your money that you had. There are a lot of long shots in here, but it doesn't feel like those would be good bets. Like, hey, I'm going to put it on Justin Herbert. Well, yeah, if Justin Herbert wins it, Joe, a $100 wager would pay back $10,000. They even have a market for if you want to bet Malik Neighbors.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The NFL gobbles up Thanksgiving and Black Friday, plus the Skins game returns. Front Office Sports Today starts now. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Front Office Sports Today, your look inside the stories that are shaping the business and culture of sports. I'm Baker Machado here in New York City, and this podcast is brought to you by Invesco QQQ. Changing the game has always been our game. You can access NASDAQ 100 companies in just one ETF, Invesco Distributors, Inc. Now, coming up on today's show, we're going to chat the return of the Skins game after more than a decade off the air. But let's first dive into the big NFL feast this Thanksgiving on our main event. Well, it's that time of the year to fill up on family, turkey, and tons of sports as the NFL continues to exert its dominance on Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Plus, could this week's Chiefs-Cowboys matchup be the highest-rated regular season game ever? Well, let's bring in some experts here. Front Office Sports reporters Mike McCarthy and Eric Fisher. Gentlemen, great to see you guys as always. Mike, let's start with you in this week's games. I mean, we have the Packers-Lions on Fox, Chiefs-Cowboys on CBS, Bengals-Ravens on NBC. Clearly some tasty matchups here, but why are execs more bullish on this year's games than maybe years past?
Well, the NFL is on a complete heater, Baker. Ratings are up 7%. They're actually pacing for their best TV season in over a decade, their best year since 2015. And then you also have the takeover of the holidays. As we all know, the NFL owns Thanksgiving, but now they're going to own Christmas. Sorry, NBA, but they are. And then, you throw in, all the reporting that Eric has done on this big data. I mean, Eric has said that this is pumping up ratings by estimated 5 to 10%. So you put it all together, Thanksgiving could be a perfect storm. We could see the first regular season game to average 50 million viewers.
Which is just incredible to think about. And Eric, Mike's referring to that Cowboys-Chiefs game on CBS. I mean, what do you think? Do you think this has the juice to really get 50 million plus viewers to watch it?
50 is a big number. I think we can safely say, for all the reasons that Mike described, that we're safely going to have a regular season record, and that was set 3 years ago with a little over 42 million. These teams it would work a little bit better if these were really fully the Chiefs of old or a better Cowboys team, but we got a 6-5 Chiefs team and a 5-1 Cowboys team. They did both win last weekend, but to go from 42 to 50, That we're talking about 20% lift right there. So that feels a little big. I think maybe somewhere in the mid to high 40s and indeed setting a record. That's kind of where my head is at. Now, if we get into some crazy overtime situation and people start texting each other and you get some late pulls in those final quarter hours, maybe that does change the equation a little bit, but it just 50 feels a little big for me.
Let me point out one thing, though, Baker. And Eric is a good point. 50 is a huge number, but Bismarck said that God protects drunks, little children in the National Football League, and as usual, you know what I mean. They are just as lucky as they are good. I mean, you had the Chiefs and the Cowboys, Eric, right? Both with lousy records. And then the Sunday before the Thursday Thanksgiving game, they both have staged these incredible comebacks to keep their playoff hopes alive. Giving everybody hope. So again, it's good to be the NFL. Luck always seems to be on their side, and this Sunday's games were the perfect way to tee up Thursday's game between the two biggest draws in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And Eric, you were mentioning obviously the teams this year, the Chiefs and the Cowboys, not the best of records. I mean, last year's Cowboys-Giants game, both teams didn't have as good of records either. And that was the 5th most watched regular season game of all time. I guess the question is do the records even matter? People are just going to tune in to watch anyway.
Yes and no. It's important to remember that the early game, the 1:00 game, almost beat that late afternoon window last year. We thought that of all the years, last year might have been the year to get it done, and they came really close, like within about 1 million average viewers of making that happen. Obviously, the spread's going to be a little bit different this time around with the Chiefs involved. Still got a really good game in that early window, and I do think that might sort of spread out the meal patterns a little bit because again, part of why the 4:00 game does so well is everybody has the meal and then settles in front of the television, and some people may do it the other way around, again with a really good early game, and so that may just diffuse the viewership a little bit. But again, it's important to remember that you've got two really good games here early, and then this primetime game, not what they drew up in the springtime with the Bengals not being what they were either. But not a terrible primetime game either.
Yeah, it's an incredible triple header, and of course the NFL, that 4:00 slot, as Eric says, is beachfront property. That's where they put their biggest games, and they put this back a little bit. Actually, Eric, if I'm not mistaken, as a 4:30 kickoff, right?
Yes.
So it's a little bit later and gives everybody time to get into their Snuggie and, experience their turkey haze and have their 18th beer of the day and just really enjoy some football.
I was going to say, that's just a live look of me and Mike on Thursday. But yeah. Mike, the history here, obviously the Cowboys, the Lions, even the Chiefs to a certain extent, pretty much always mainstay on Thanksgiving. For those that don't know, what's sort of the history behind these Thanksgiving games and why we see usually the same teams almost always on it?
Well, it's a tradition that goes back decades, and I think it really became popular, and I'd love to get Eric's take on this too, during the John Madden era. Before that, it was kind of all right, Thanksgiving, the Lions are going to play, and it was all right. It was, in fact, a lot of people, didn't like it. And then John Madden came along and turned Turkey Day into a national holiday for the NFL, the Turkadin and the old Madden team and everything. And I really give the credit, Baker, to the late, great John Madden for turning, NFL Thanksgiving's Day into, as I said, a national holiday, right up there with the biggest events.
Yeah, Eric,
it's also important. Yeah, important to remember that before Thursday became an every week part of the schedule, this was, in the olden days, like the two lone Thursday games of the entire schedule, and teams didn't like playing on the short week. And this was part of particularly for the Cowboys, part of their national branding effort to raise their hand and say, we want to be America's team, and raising their hand again and saying, we want to be on this national showcase. And that was part of them kind of establishing themselves as a team that went far beyond their local market.
Yeah. Interesting story, Baker. The Steelers were actually given the opportunity to be America's team, and they turned it down. It started out as a marketing gimmick by the NFL based around an NFL Films documentary. And they went to the Steelers and they said, how would you like to be in a documentary about America's team? And they said, we're not America's team, we're Pittsburgh's team. And they went to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys, of course, will do it.
Yes.
They grabbed it with both hands. So, but if I could just make one more point, I agree with everything Eric just said. But I also think the fact that having the Lions kind of harkens back to the gritty Midwest roots of the NFL. When you think of the NFL, the old NFL, you think of teams like the Green Bay Packers and the Lions and the Bears and the monsters of the Midway. It's a Midwestern league. It was born in the tough, hard scrabble Midwest, and I think the Lions reflect that.
And now that we have a really good Lions team, it's taken on this extra juice here these last 3 years, that for many years the Lions were, mediocre at best, but now we have a very legitimate playoff contending team. And this is part of why they almost prevailed over the late game last year in the ratings, and they'll put up a solid number again this year.
They're a fascinating team, and don't get me started on the Lions, Eric, you know what I mean? They beat my Giants, you know what I mean? Somehow my Giants found a way to lose. I have never seen a football kicked start fading right and then hook back left. That was an optical illusion or something.
Well, this gets to another question. Obviously, you guys have, all of us, but you guys have seen a lot of these Thanksgiving games. Is there one particular memory that stands out the most to you guys on Thanksgiving coverage?
Barry Sanders, you know what I mean? To me, he is the greatest run back in the history of the NFL. And, when you sat down, with your family on Thanksgiving, you got to watch Barry Sanders run the football. It was fantastic.
I think it was 98 Lions Steelers where they screwed up the coin toss, and there was confusion as to who Jerome Bettis was picking in terms of the heads, tails, and the Lions scratched out a very controversial victory.
I remember that vividly, both of those. Amazing. By the way, we're going to take a quick pause in this conversation. We're going to come back after a really quick break, and we're going to talk about how Amazon is now taking over Black Friday when Front Office Sports Today returns right after this.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said
earlier.
He got hit
behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back, everyone, to Front Office Sports Today. I'm Baker Machado here in New York City, and this podcast is brought to you by Invesco QQQ. In football, changing the game begins with rethinking it, like rethinking how players work on their game. And with wearable technology, advanced analytics, AI, and more, that same innovative thinking that changes the game could also change your portfolio. And Invesco QQQ gives you access to the innovators who are rethinking the world. So let's rethink possibility. All right, let's dive back into our conversation about the slate of games this week on Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Let's bring back front office sports reporters Mike McCarthy and Eric Fisher. Gentlemen, great to have both of you guys back. Let's talk, Eric, about Amazon now entering in the conversation for Black Friday. They have a full slate of coverage, 12 full hours of live coverage. That includes the return of the Skins game, the infamous golf event, and an NBA doubleheader. Is this now Amazon's way of owning that particular day? Because we're shopping that day also.
Yeah, they've had great success these first couple of years, even with some somewhat subpar NFL games. But in terms of the overall strategy and their branding and sort of staking a claim in this space, it's still been a great success, and they're just sort of turbocharging it this year, taking that one NFL game and adding 3 more broadcasts on it with the golf and then the basketball doubleheader, really all day and all night, essentially. They're rock and rolling all day and partying every night. Taking the viewers all through a full day of sports and obviously having the shopping integration throughout. And so I think it's really kind of a huge sort of company play for them, that all of the sort of elements of what Amazon does distilling down into a single day.
Yeah, Baker, I agree with Eric. I mean, when we did the live tuned-in event, I told Jay Marine of Amazon this was the smartest business ideas I've ever seen. Here you have Amazon, an online retailer, turning Black Friday into a football holiday. And at the same time, they get to screw over their, brick and mortar retailers who are their rivals, right? So the pitch is perfect.
Eric, there's so much talk about, the NBA doubleheader that night, which, obviously when they thought of the schedule for this Black Friday, they saw, Dallas and Cooper Flag going back to Los Angeles to play Luka Doncic in the late game. Obviously, it hasn't turned out to be a great season for the Dallas Mavericks, but do you feel like this game maybe gets overshadowed by all the NFL coverage, or is this sort of still a great sort of day to highlight all the sports coverage?
I think each one of these things, even the golf in the morning, they've got some personalities there. I think you've got some very good NBA Cup matchups, and then a much better, really, than expected NFL game as well. That when they first announced this in May, when the schedule came out, it was okay. You had the defending champion Eagles and then the Bears, not knowing what the Bears were going to be, but 2 top 5 media markets, pretty good. But now you got 2 division leaders. The Bears have been much better than expected. And so you really have quality all the way through, including and through these NBA games.
It's a great point by Eric Baker. To go back to one of your earlier questions, why are the NFL ratings so strong this year? One reason is the Bears. Mm-hmm. You've got the 3rd largest market, really gunning right now, and they're drawing viewers and they're drawing interest. And, if you get New York going, in addition to, the Rams in LA, the Bears in Chicago, and of course, the Chiefs and the Cowboys, there's no stopping this league.
Yeah, great point. There has, though, guys, been some pushback in terms of how Nielsen specifically sort of rates these big streaming events. Do you think big ratings on streaming platforms like an Amazon or even a Netflix are more or less impressive than maybe the numbers that we get on a traditional broadcast network? Just because it feels like a lot of these streamers sort of cherry pick or sort of change how we sort of look at these numbers than maybe traditionally we had been with like a CBS or a Fox. Eric, I'll start with you.
Yeah, it's important to remember that, particularly as it relates to Big Data Plus Panel, this new methodology that Nielsen formally introduced in September. Long before that, Amazon was sort of an early tester and an early adopter of this methodology. And so when the lights officially came on this is the official new process and it's going to be the basis of all, press statements vis-a-vis viewership, Amazon was already there. It is a fundamental difference in terms of what they're doing versus Netflix or YouTube, where they have been using various unaudited, unapproved methods. So it's really, really important to sort of put Amazon on one side and these other streamers in the other, because what Amazon is doing, they were into Big Data Plus Panel even before it was officially a thing.
Yeah, and to elaborate on that, I think what you're seeing, Baker, is seeing some of the big streamers like Amazon's starting to get linear type audiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be that they were so far behind. It was like, they had to factor that in. But Amazon Prime Video is pulling 17 million people on a Thursday night football game. That's what Thursday night football used to do. So the other thing that the streamers like to beat their chests about is their younger viewership. On average, their viewers are 7 years younger. So with all the leagues very concerned about a graying audience, going into the league office and being able to say to Roger, hey, I got you viewers who are 7 years younger than CBS, that means something.
The NFL has made it no secret that they plan in a few years to take their media rights, and renegotiate with their broadcast partners. And given the fact that, they obviously see the inventory of each one of these games as marketable in their own ways, do you envision a scenario where we have, not say Black Friday, but more sort of eventized days using this sort of NFL schedule of these games to sort of highlight and prop up on their own specific day or their own specific holiday or their own specific sort of marketing day, Eric?
Without question, already this season across the schedule, we have more what we're calling standalone broadcasts and having just the one game in a given slot, whether it be a Thursday night, a Friday night, a Monday night, a Saturday, once we get done here with the college football regular season, and putting more of the individual, each of the 272 games, having more of them siphoned off into their own unique windows.
Yeah. And the NFL, I think the next move here, Baker, is you're going to have football from 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday to midnight. I think the addition of these international games is going to lead to an international package, which, of course, the NFL is going to sell because nobody slices the soap like the NFL. They'll pay billions for it. And we will literally have games kicking off every Sunday at 9 o'clock, followed by the 1 o'clock game, the 4 o'clock window, and Sunday Night Football. So you're going to have 12 hours of football every Sunday within the next couple of years. Book it.
Gentlemen, what a wonderful conversation this was. Have a wonderful holiday. And we, of course, Mike, will talk about those Christmas Day games here in the next couple of weeks.
You got it.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. Buy or sell. Thursday night football should end after week 10, George. You're going to buy or sell this?
It's too short a week. It's not healthy for the players. You'll never be able to convince me otherwise here. The NFL will tell you, oh, stats tell us no, it's not more injuries. And that's all BS. All right. Should it end after week 10? In a perfect world, there probably should be no Thursday night games. Should it end after week 10? Sure, I'll buy this. But it's not going to. There's too much money here. It's never going to end, all right? They're going to have it forever. You're lucky there's not a Friday, Saturday schedule as well, and there's some laws involved there as to why there's not. The NFL is going to have a schedule or for any day they can get here. It's all about money here. And if the players don't want it, by the way, you're going to realize, well, you're going to lose a significant chunk of revenue out of your salary as well here.
Right.
So I'll buy this, but it doesn't matter. It's not going away.
I mean, George just basically said everything that I was going to say, so... What is the reality? The games, so of course I'll buy it. The games are not good. Generally, the home team has a big advantage. If not, the teams are not prepared to play on Thursday night. Yes, there have been some upsets and some underdogs winning. We saw it Thursday night. But the quality of play on Thursday is lower than what it is on the weekends. And there's no end in sight to it because of what George said, the money. That's just all that matters. If Amazon Prime doesn't take it, Netflix will take it. If they don't take it, Apple will take it. If they don't take it, somebody else will take it. I don't know. Hulu, I don't know. You make it up. Someone will. So it is not going away. And, generally speaking, I'm excited every week when the games begin and then I forget and then the games usually stink. And I'm like, oh, gosh, this game wasn't good anyway. So George is right. Not going away because of the money.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Mike, Eric, Thank you guys so much. And of course, happy holidays to you. And be sure, of course, to sign up for the Tuned In newsletter by going over to frontofficesports.com. All right, meanwhile, for the first time in 16 years, golf's big event, the Skins Game, returns. It'll be broadcast on Prime Video on Black Friday, and it'll feature 4 players from the Ryder Cup, including Tommy Fleetwood and Keegan Bradley. So let's bring in Chad Mommy. He's the executive producer of the Skins Game. He's also the co-founder and president at Pro Shop. That, of course, is the production arm behind Netflix's Full Swing. Chad, great to have you here. Thanks so much for joining us. So for those who are unfamiliar with the Skin Game, explain a little bit about it. How does it work?
Yeah, the Skins Game is, one of golf's classic formats. It kind of invented this idea of the silly season. The first one, 1981, ungodly amount of money for the time, the biggest stars in the sport. When we were researching bringing this thing back, we found out the Skins Game in 1986 actually used to outrate the Masters tournament. So
wow.
Really amazing heritage, great history. The way that the Skins Game works, it's 4 players. They're each playing as an individual. Each hole has a certain dollar value that escalates as the match continues. And if 2 players tie on a hole, then the dollar amount carries over to the next hole. So when you win, you have to win outright. You have to beat the 3 other guys. You get the skin and all the carryovers and obviously the dollar value that follows that. And our big twist this year is, in bringing this thing back, we wanted to really feel like the players had some real skin in the game and some real stakes. So we have a $4 million purse, which is the largest Skins game that anyone's ever played for. And our hook is we're doing what's called a reverse purse. So each player is starting with $1 million on the first tee. And when skins are won and lost, it's coming out of the other player's total. So if you're one of these guys and you push the first 5 or 6 holes and there's over $1 million on the line and someone takes the skin on the 6th hole, that player's total is going to go up. Everyone else is going to go down. And if you don't win a single skin by the last hole, you'll be down at 0. So we're not paying appearance fees. These guys are literally can go home with $4 million or 0 or something in between.
And I feel like Skins Game is like such an easy thing to produce. It's easy for people to sort of understand the rules a little bit. And I also feel like you can produce this for television really, really well. Yep. Why was really the right time to bring this back? Was it because Amazon was a partner here?
This has been something that I've wanted to bring back forever. And when I did Full Swing and obviously, built this big partnership with the PGA Tour, after season 1 was so successful, I remember having a meeting with the PGA Tour and they said, well, what's next? What else do you want to do? I was like, what's happening with the Skins Game? This was part of my holiday tradition since I was a little kid. We weren't really a golf family growing up. My dad loved college football and he's a football guy. But the only golf that I ever remember being on TV was the Skins Game in Thanksgiving and then the Masters in April. And that's what I grew up with. And to me, the holidays, especially Thanksgiving, was always football, turkey, Charlie Brown, Skins Game. And, I'm of a certain age where that's what I grew up with. And now I have little kids. I want to kind of bring that tradition back. It's been a while since it's been on the air. And it feels like this new generation of player, much more confident, kind of talking smack, much more comfortable in front of the cameras. Obviously, the players are going to be mic'd up. To me, the big hook was, can we do it in a way that actually creates competitive stakes? Because I think part of the problem with some of these made-for-TV events in the past, it doesn't really feel like the players care. They've been paid some fat appearance fee to be there. The banter that you're looking for never really materializes because ultimately, they're collecting their checks. And so we feel like the Skins Game in its shifting allegiances, the fact that they're starting with $1 million and watching that total potentially go down, I think that's going to get them gaming. And to me, what makes great television and golf in particular is getting fist bumps. And we think that a fist bump's going to happen early in this match when someone makes a pivotal, either tying putt or winning putt, kind of right out of the gate.
And I also think just in terms of Amazon's programming for that day. I mean, look, we know Amazon owns Black Friday from all the stuff that we're going to be buying, but now you basically have the Amazon NFL game. You have this NBA doubleheader. It sort of fits with Amazon owning all of these things on Black Friday, including sports rights.
Yeah, we were so excited to bring on Amazon as our partner. We talked to a bunch of other media companies and distributors about where we wanted to land the Skins Game. And the idea of being a part of this kind of greatest day in sports, what Amazon's doing on Black Friday, it's a perfect intro. I mean, to be the lead into the NFL, to one of the biggest NFL games of the year. We got Eagles, Bears. Both teams, need a win. And really be the only game in town. We'll be the only live sports on at least until 12:30 Eastern time when some of the college football games kick off. And we love that idea of seeing the Skins Games, that iconic logo, the PGA Tour logo sitting alongside the NFL shield and the NBA logo. I can't think of any other, day of sports where you get those 3 brands together. And so, couldn't be more excited to have Amazon as our partner. And they've been leaning in. It's awesome. I mean, the cross promotion, us kind of talking to the booth and being able to pull forward to the NFL game and send it back. Like, we are really excited to have them as a partner. They've been great. They're awesome sports programmers, really understand this landscape. And then to your point, Amazon's already got us there anyway, shopping on Black Friday. So might as well stick around and watch some sports.
Well, I know we can't wait for Friday. Prime Video's coverage of the Skins game tees off 9 a.m. Eastern time on Friday. Chad, best of luck on Friday. We'll be watching. Really excited for you guys.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. This was great.
All right, well, that will do it, everyone, for this edition of Front Office Sports Today. Enjoy the games and the feast this holiday week. We'll be back on